Coming up tonight on YCN News. The deadline to sign up for health insurance under the nation's new healthcare law is extended. Robert Dellinger faces more serious charges for causing the death of a Vermont couple. And the Lebanon Fire Department brings us fire safety advice for this winter season. For more news, weather, and sports, it's time for YCN, your local view.
Now, your daily digest of the Dartmouth-Lake Sunapee region, southern Vermont, and Windsor County. News, sports, weather, and all that is happening in our area. The news on YCN, your local view.
Good evening, and welcome to this Monday edition of YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. The White House today brings good news for people who have yet to sign up for health insurance. You have an extra day to do so. Under the nation's new healthcare law, medical insurance shoppers needed to sign up with a plan by today. Now the deadline is extended until tomorrow. Signing up by December 24th is necessary so that one's health insurance can begin January 1st. For people choosing an insurance company at a later date, the insurance will begin at a later start date. About 1 million people have signed up so far, the Obama administration says. The goal is for all American residents who want medical insurance to choose a health plan by March 14, 2014. That's the date open enrollment closes. New Hampshire resident Robert Dellinger now faces more serious charges surrounding the deaths of a Vermont couple and their unborn child. New Hampshire Attorney General Joseph Foster said on Friday that Dellinger now faces 2 counts of second-degree murder. The upgrade in the charges points to the intention of Dellinger's act on a Lebanon highway December 7th. Police learned from Dellinger that he purposely drove into an oncoming lane of traffic in a suicide attempt. Killed instead were Jason Timmons and Amanda Murphy of Wilder, Vermont. Their car was crushed by Dellinger's truck, which had become airborne. Dellinger is scheduled to be arraigned on the upgraded charges tomorrow in Lebanon District Court. Sunday's weather resulted in icy roads and auto accidents throughout New England. The days are becoming longer, even if by a few minutes, now that the winter solstice has arrived. Ice-coated trees and power lines could be seen from central New Hampshire to Vermont and upstate New York. State police throughout New England urge travelers to leave extra time for travel with the upcoming holidays. After the break, we'll hear about the fire safety tips that could save your Christmas and a memorial service in the works for Matthew Harriman, the 49-year-old found dead in Claremont last week.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. From unattended candles to well-adorned Christmas trees to extension cords draped everywhere, a fire can ignite in seconds. Today, in the first part of a 2-day series, we learn how to prevent mishaps and mistakes from becoming deadly.
During the winter seasons, we actually do see an increase in fire-related incidents. It's due to a number of things, though. It could be due to not only some of the, having Christmas trees, using exterior Christmas lights, interior Christmas lights, candles, but also people are using their heating appliances more. So they're using their pellet stoves and wood-burning stoves a lot more, which do increase potential chimney fires and things like that. During this type of season, during the holiday seasons, Christmas trees, what we like to see is that you're taking the bottom 2 inches from where the root system is and cutting it, and then making sure when you put it up that you're filling that with water so that the tree does not dry up or dry out. And if you're starting to see needles fall off, you really need to make sure that it gets water. But also when you're putting your Christmas lights on, making sure that you're inspecting them prior to putting them on, making sure that there's no dry rot, that there's no frayed electrical lines showing, and that the bulbs are all correct and working. But also not putting an overload on the electrical outlet so that you could potentially have an electrical fire. And then also, most important, making sure that the tree is not next to any type of heating source, and making sure that presents and gifts are not next to heating sources, and also not putting any type of open flame such as candles on the Christmas tree during the holiday season. This time of year, with the weather the way it is, it's getting colder. People are starting to use their heating appliances more frequently. Making sure that, number one, that you have your smoke detectors are working, and that you practice an escape plan, but also making sure that you have carbon monoxide detectors. As most people know, carbon monoxide is a colorless, odorless gas. You can't smell it, so having a carbon monoxide detector on each level of the home and outside the sleeping quarters is really primary. And making sure that you're meeting the recommendations of the manufacturer. If you're using a wood stove, distances from combustibles, making sure that you don't have combustibles next to the heating appliances, but also making sure that you're cleaning it properly and maintaining it, and making sure that your chimney is kept clean throughout the cold weather.
Tomorrow, our look at how to stay safe during the winter continues. The farm-to-table movement is especially strong in northern New England. Nowhere is this more true than at New Hampshire's Walpole Valley Farms. We visit this farm in southwestern New Hampshire to learn more about this company. With the increased popularity in local food production, YCU News decided to visit Walpole Valley Farms in Walpole, New Hampshire to talk about locally and farm-raised turkeys for this season. What's the farm lifestyle like?
It's very busy. We get up with the sun and go down with the sun. So in the summertime especially, it's very busy. But this time of year, we actually get a little bit of a break, so it's nice.
What is the whole environment like at Walpole Valley Farms?
This is a pasture-based farm, so what that means is all of our animals are out on pasture, so they're actually being moved from place to place on the pastures. So most of our animals are actually raised during the growing season, meaning basically from about May until October. That's part of the pasture-based system. We're moving all of the animals to fresh grass so that they get the best of the best, and they're also fertilizing as they go. Cattle are all grass-fed, so no grain whatsoever. So it's actually, what we're doing here is growing grass. So we need all this manure from all the different animals, the chickens, the pigs, the cows, the turkeys, to fertilize the field. So we also raise pasture-raised pigs on the farm, and we move them around as well to either woodland pastures or pastures that abut the woods with apple trees and that sort of thing. Pigs love apples, they love acorns, they love hickory nuts, and they get access to all of that in the fields, as well as a locally grown GMO-free grain. And all of the grain that we feed our animals is GMO-free and locally grown. So that's a big part of our operation.
What's the difference between a local farm-raised turkey and a store-bought turkey?
For us, that means that the turkeys are raised outside in cow pastures, and we move them frequently every few days. So they're constantly getting a lot of grass and bugs and worms and things that they would want to consume if they were in the wild. They're not wild-raised turkeys, it's still a farm-raised turkey, but the key to us is to supplement them with as much food other than grain to make them taste delicious, and they stay juicier and moister and more flavorful as a result. It tastes better. It's a more denser, flavorful meat. It retains more of its moisture when you cook it, so it will have more pan drippings to make gravy with. And just knowing that it was raised locally by real folks in your community, I think speaks a lot too.
What's your preference in preparing turkeys?
Well, actually, pasture-raised turkeys do cook quicker than store-bought turkeys. That is probably because due to the fact they're a little bit leaner and they eat more of the grass and the bugs and things. As far as actually cooking it, we prefer to brine the turkey, which just means that you soak it in a saltwater bath for 1 to 4 days. As far as buying products, the farm store here is open Saturdays 10 to 4 year-round. No matter what, every Saturday. We have additional hours through the summer and through the good weather. And we also sell grass-fed beef, pasture-raised pork, chicken, turkey, eggs, and lamb here all in the store all the time. It's available year-round.
As you can see, farming and agriculture continue to support the economies of New Hampshire and Vermont. A memorial service will be held on Saturday, December 28th, for Matthew Harriman, WNTK Radio reports. Harriman was found dead last week by Claremont police. The 49-year-old Harriman called a tent in a campsite off Maple Avenue his home. Police were asked by Harriman's family and friends to check on him. Officers found him near his tent. Last week's single-digit temperatures likely contributed to his death, say police. Police believe his death was not suspicious. Because of Harriman's untimely and unobserved death, an autopsy is required. Associate Pastor James Nielsen V will lead the service. Nielsen said Harriman attended services at the Life Fellowship Church in Charlestown, New Hampshire. Saturday's service will begin at 2 p.m. Nielsen is organizing a fundraiser to meet burial expenses. About $1,600 has been raised. $2,500 is needed. To help, go to www.gofundme.com. In the search bar, enter Matthew Harriman. Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. Now Matt McDonald will have a look at our weather for the next 5 days, and he'll take a look at some local high school sports.
Thanks, Rose. Looks like this week's weather should be mostly clear. Tomorrow we will have highs in the 20s with a low of 2 degrees. Wednesday, we'll have a high of 19 degrees with lows in the teens. Thursday will bring back the snow, but not for long. We are expecting highs in the mid-30s and a low of 20 degrees. Friday and Saturday will be partly cloudy with highs between 29 and 32 degrees. Lows on Friday will be in the teens and Saturday's lows will be in the 20s. If you're looking for the perfect pie for your Christmas meal, head on over to the United Methodist Church in Enfield tomorrow at 9 a.m. for their Christmas pie sale. And now let's take a look at the highlights from the upcoming game of the week that you'll be able to watch on Wednesday and Thursday. Last Friday it was a packed house at Lebanon High School for the annual Weschler Cup basketball game between Hanover and Lebanon. Early in the first half, Hanover's Lexi Hamilton finds Eileen Daly open for 2 of her 4 points in the game. Some crisp passing by Lebanon leads to this easy basket for number 14, Jocelyn Wainwright, a freshman. A nice hustle play here by Molly Cornell leads to this fast break basket by J.J. Danielle. Danielle led the Marauders with 22 points. Lebanon coach Tim Kehoe watched the game from the stands as he is taking a medical leave of absence to help his brother Ed with his cancer treatments. Hanover went on to win 62-43 and will travel to Plymouth on January 3rd. Lebanon, now 1-2 on the young season, will host Sauhegan, also on January 3rd. For Hanover's senior captains, Molly Cornell and Holly Schlosser, it was the first time that they won the Weschler Cup.
Thank you for joining us for this Monday edition of YCN News. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And you can watch our programs anytime online at www.ycnnow.com. Be sure to tune in tomorrow to hear from Tom Galligan, president of Colby Sawyer College. I'm Rose Spillman for YCN, your local view. Good night.